The story so far. Spider, the super-powered international defensive enforcement resource, is a multinational agency comprised of all the world's superheroes. Eve Halloran, aka All Hallows Eve, is a cadet who wields the holy power of the harvest fire. These are her adventures.
Part 1. I don't like superheroes who bend the rules. As a result, I try to work with the authorities whenever I can. The firefighters did their best to battle the blaze while paramedics scoured the site for survivors. I didn't see the crash happen. But, sure as maple syrup gives me hives, I was there to help clean up the aftermath. I heard a witness mutter something about a police car ramming a truck carrying a load of diesel, which would account for the flames. The only real question was, why? Why would an officer of the law deliberately cause such wanton destruction? The fire had spread across the city block, but it was beginning to die down now. I wandered through the rubble, looking to help however I could. Ahead of me, I spied the ruins of a blackened squad car. Although it was unlikely that anyone inside it could have survived, I pressed on through the heat. There was always a slim chance. I found the vehicle completely totaled, but saw a boot sticking out from underneath. With supernatural strength, I lifted the burnt-out car and tossed it harmlessly aside. Freed from beneath his own vehicle, the cop stood up. He was easily the tallest person I'd met in my life. Large and muscular, he brushed himself off. Strangely, though, he didn't take off his sunglasses. "Thank you," he said. "Did you see where he went?" I gave him a confused look. "The guy I was after," he explained. "Did you see where he went?" I shook my head, wondering how he could think about an escaped felon at a time like this. I looked at his hand and didn't see one of my organization's special communicator rings. If he was a cop, he was an ordinary one. One that definitely didn't have the authority to ram a fuel truck. "Look at me," he said. My eyes met his reflective glasses. "This guy I'm after, he's incredibly dangerous," the cop explained. "He caused all this. Calls himself Torture. We have to find his hideout before it's too late." I nodded along. After all, he was a cop. A good guy. We were on the same side. At least, that's what I believed at the time. Part 2. Thank goodness for seatbelts, I thought as I followed the officer through the maze of city streets. I guess that it paid to buckle up, because this guy didn't act like he was hurt at all. He led me into Montreal's Chinatown and entered a small shop. The proprietor and his customers gave us weird looks, but my companion didn't care. He sniffed the air. "He's here," the cop said. I had no idea how he could possibly know that, but went along with him anyway. Again, he was a man of the badge and an experienced one by the look of it. He pointed at the shop owner and the customers rushed towards the exit. "Where is Torture?" my companion demanded. "Wait a moment," I said. "Shouldn't you get a warrant?" The cop didn't listen. He pushed past me, past the proprietor, and forced his way into the back room. "Stop right there," I started. But when I reached the back, I found the cop slapping a set of silver cuffs onto a man dressed in orange and white tights. "Here he is," the officer said. "Torture. Don't let him take me," the would-be supervillain pleaded. "He's not a real cop." My companion shook his head. "Good work, cadet," he said to me. "I'll be sure to give you a great write-up." "Look at his badge!" Torture practically shrieked. My good, I went to the cop's chest. Indeed, something was off about that badge. It was decorated with a ram's head. And the number. 666. "Who are you?" I said to my companion. In each of my hands, I conjured a ball of blue harvest fire. He looked at them and grinned. Do you know why I do this? He asked. Centuries ago, there lived a philosopher named Hobbes. He theorized that the pursuit of freedom inevitably leads the individual into a state of war against everybody else. To solve this problem, he made a social contract with Satan. From that day forward, hell has had its own police force, one that keeps the peace at the expense of freedom. Responsibility to the responsible, that's our motto. He took off his sunglasses, revealing a pair of demonic red eyes. And I love every minute of it. Before he could say another word, I threw both my fireballs at him. The devil cop sidestepped them easily. He tossed his prey aside and grabbed me by the throat. Why are you defending this scumbag? He whispered in my ear, he's a sinner and deserves the fires of hell. As Socrates once said, I choked, for duty. I punched the demon in the stomach. Stunned, he let go of my neck. And humanity! I threw a ball of harvest fire into his face. Devil cop screamed in pain and... Fwoosh! He disappeared in a flash of hellfire. Wow, Torture said, did Socrates really say that? Whoever it was, I replied, they were definitely among the great thinkers. The supervillain raised his bound wrists. I don't suppose you could, you know. You're going to get a trial, just like anyone else. Maybe you'll go to prison. But at least I won't go to hell. I nodded with a smile. Whatever his sins might be, they were between him and God now. And that's the way it ought to be. The end.
All Hallows Eve is an open-source character created by David Evely. She is not to be confused with Marvel's Hallows Eve, who debuted 11 years later. Official canon for this series is your imagination.